What happened when you tried to hide an injury from your parents? When I was 9 and scraped my knee falling off my skateboard, my father made me lie on the kitchen table while he carved the wound deeper with a scalpel because he believed shallow injuries would keep recurring unless you completed them. Dad had this twisted theory that the body remembered unfinished injuries and would recreate them over and over until they reached their intended depth. He claimed he'd discovered this through years of working as an EMT and seeing the same people with similar wounds repeatedly. Mom had left when his obsession started and took my sister, but somehow I got stuck with him. He kept medical journals filled with drawings of wounds at various stages and calculations about optimal depth for permanent healing. After he finished carving my knee that first time, he bandaged it with professional precision and explained that now I'd never scrape that knee again because we'd satisfied the injury's full potential. The fact that I never did injure that exact spot again only reinforced his delusion. From then on, every bump, bruise, or cut had to be completed to prevent recurrence. A paper cut meant he'd slice down to muscle. A bruised shin meant he'd systematically bruise the entire leg. He had this whole philosophy about how modern medicine created chronic patients by treating symptoms instead of completing the injury cycle. He'd lecture me while cutting into my skin about how he was saving me from a lifetime of repeated trauma. His toolkit lived in a sterile metal cabinet in the bathroom, like he was running a legitimate medical practice. He had scalpels for cuts, hammers for bruises, and needles for punctures, all organized by size and purpose. He'd put on surgical scrubs and gloves before each session and document everything in his journals with photographs and measurements. The worst part was how he'd calculate exactly how deep or extensive each injury needed to be based on formulas he'd created. A half-inch cut required deepening to 1 inch. A bruise needed to cover the entire muscle group. He'd mark my skin with surgical pens before beginning and work with the focus of a surgeon while I screamed. I learned to hide injuries at all costs, but Dad did daily body inspections where I had to strip naked and turn slowly while he examined every inch. Finding a hidden injury meant the completion would be twice as severe as punishment for trying to let it heal naturally. My teacher noticed me limping from a completed ankle injury and called home, but Dad convinced her I had a rare genetic condition that caused spontaneous wounds. He actually forged medical documents and got a corrupt doctor friend to back up his story. The school bought it and even gave me special accommodations for when I couldn't walk after his sessions. One day I got a concussion playing basketball and tried to hide it from him. For 2 days I fought through the dizziness and nausea, terrified of what completing a head injury would mean. But Dad noticed my dilated pupils during inspection and went ballistic. A head injury left incomplete could repeat forever, he screamed, dragging me to the kitchen. Do you want to spend your whole life getting concussions? He showed me his journal entries about traumatic brain injuries and how they needed to reach their full potential to prevent recurrence. His completion plan involved inducing a more severe concussion to satisfy what my brain was trying to achieve. He made me put on a football helmet and position my head against the wall while he prepared to strike it with a baseball bat. I begged him to stop, but he explained this was the only way to prevent a lifetime of head trauma. One properly completed concussion now, or dozens of incomplete ones forever, he said, practicing his swing. I'm saving your future. That's when I finally fought back and managed to lock myself in my bedroom. He spent hours pounding on the door with his bat, screaming about how my brain would never heal properly without completion. I could hear him flipping through medical journals and recalculating the force needed for optimal injury completion. For 3 days, I survived on water from my bathroom sink while he camped outside my door. He slid diagrams under the door showing brains with incomplete trauma patterns. He played recordings of doctors discussing chronic concussion syndrome. On the third night, I heard him on the phone with someone discussing sedation options for uncooperative patients. The next morning, he managed to pick my lock while I was sleeping. I woke up to him standing over me with a syringe and the baseball bat. Don't worry, he said as I tried to scramble away. Dr. Walker is coming to help. He agrees that your concussion needs completion, but thinks we should do it under controlled conditions. I jumped out my window and ran to the neighbors, but Dad followed, completely calm like this was normal. He explained to them that I had a dangerous, incomplete head injury that could kill me if left untreated. He showed them his forged medical credentials, and Dr. Walker pulled up in his van with what looked like official hospital equipment. The neighbors started looking uncertain as Dad described the medical necessity of completion therapy. Dr. Walker approached me with another syringe while Dad held up the bat. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, he said. But that concussion is getting completed today. As they backed me into a corner, Dad lifted the bat above his head and said the most terrifying words of my life. Hold still, son. I calculated exactly where to hit to complete the injury without killing you. Probably. Full story on the channel below.